This man had become the terror of Washington, and he had the relatives of his victims in front of him.
In your words, you said that they didn't mean anything to you, but she meant everything to us.
She was a mother, she was a wife, she was a sister, and we miss her.
Gary Ridgway presented himself as a kind and gentle person that would never hurt anyone, going unpunished for almost 20 years. At that time, between 1982 and 2001, he took 40 souls, becoming one of the deadliest serial killers in America.
Mr. Ridgway, how do you plead to the charge of aggravated murder in the first degree as charged in count 1 for the death of Wendy Lee Caulfield?
Guilty.
How do you plead to the charge of aggravated murder in the first degree as charged in count 2?
Guilty.
Known as the Green River Killer for the place where the first 5 bodies were found, Ridgway targeted sex workers as the victims of his crimes.
Like all serial killers, he seemed to have the ability to sense vulnerability in potential victims.
However, Ridgway's coldness faded at trial, where he would finally break down for a surprising reason.
There are people here that hate you. I'm not one of them. You've made it difficult to live up to what I believe, and that is what God says to do, and that's to forgive. You are forgiven, sir.
This man's gesture would demonstrate complete humanity, something Gary Ridgway's mind could never fathom. The thing is, from his first crime to his last, the Green River Killer only had one thing on his mind: to carry out as many homicides as he could.
Everybody assigned to that investigation was committed to solving it, committed to bringing this person to justice, because these were, somebody's daughter, somebody's sister, somebody's mother, and we cared about them. We cared about them like they were our own kids or our own family members, and we wanted to solve it.
While the investigation was going on, Ridgway was still a complete stranger to the world, one who, with his crimes still in his head, would marry for the 3rd time, and he would rebuild his life completely.
I just thought he was the greatest. It was like love at first sight.
What seemed like a dream marriage would finally come to an abrupt end after 13 years. Advances in DNA profiling led to a match between the remains of one of the victims and Gary's genetic material.
This is the DNA from Marcia Chapman, and this is the DNA from the Green River Killer. And we looked at them and we're like, they're the same. They're the same. It's Gary Ridgway.
The case became one of the most momentous in American history. Detectives had successfully stopped the country's deadliest serial killer, and they had also gotten him to confess to each one of the 49 deaths. The Green River Killer would be sentenced to 48 life sentences, escaping capital punishment for collaborating with the investigation. This punishment brought some comfort to the families of the victims, who at least were able to see his face for the last time.
He's an animal. I wish for him to have a long, suffering, cruel death.